Brandon Ingram's game is pure. His high arcing jump shot, elite isolation scoring, and lanky 6'8" frame immediately bring one name to mind: Kevin Durant. Since his high school days, Ingram has been touted as the closest thing to KD, with scouts envisioning him as a future superstar. But his NBA journey hasn't been as smooth as KD's. He struggled in his early years, found his groove in New Orleans, and now he's in Toronto. The Raptors didn't trade for him just to be another piece. They believe Ingram can be their franchise player, their offensive leader, and the guy who can bring playoff success back to Toronto. But can he actually do it? In this deep dive, we'll break down Ingram's rise from high school phenom to NBA All-Star, his struggles and growth in Los Angeles, his breakout in New Orleans and why it didn't lead to winning, his role in Toronto and whether he can take them to the next level, and finally, if he can truly live up to the KD comparisons. If you're hyped about the Brandon Ingram era in Toronto, let us know in the comments. Can he be the guy that leads the Raptors back to contention? Before he was an NBA All-Star, Brandon Ingram was a wiry kid from Kinston, North Carolina. He grew up in one of the toughest basketball environments in the country, a town with a history of producing NBA talent, but also a place where few make it out. Ingram was always skilled, but he wasn't always the tallest player on the court. He started high school as a 6'1" guard, but a massive growth spurt transformed him into a 6'8" wing with guard skills. Suddenly, he could handle the ball like a point guard, shoot over defenders like a wing, and move like a natural scorer. By his senior year, he was the best player in North Carolina, winning 4 straight state championships at Kinston High School and becoming a top 3 recruit in the country. The Kevin Durant comparison started early. Their similar build, high release, and smooth scoring ability had scouts raving. But was he really the next KD? Ingram played 1 season at Duke where he immediately showcased his NBA potential. He averaged 17.3 points, 6.8 rebounds, and shot 41% from 3, proving that he could be a dominant scorer at the next level. It wasn't just about the numbers, it was how he played. He had elite shot creation, using his length to rise over defenders. He was a natural bucket getter, excelling in transition and half-court sets. He showed flashes of defensive potential, using his wingspan to disrupt passing lanes. But there was one major concern: his frame. At just 190 pounds, scouts worried if he could handle the physicality of the NBA. Still, his talent was undeniable, and the Los Angeles Lakers took him with the 2nd overall pick in the 2016 NBA Draft. They believed he could be their next franchise star. If Ingram dominated in high school and college, his NBA rookie season was a wake-up call. The biggest problem? His body wasn't ready for the league. At just 190 pounds, he struggled against stronger, more physical defenders. He was often pushed off his spots, struggled to finish at the rim, and lacked confidence in his shot. His rookie numbers were rough, just 9.4 points per game on 40% shooting. The KD comparisons faded, and some started wondering if he was another overhyped prospect. But what separated Ingram was his work ethic. Instead of getting discouraged, he added muscle, improved his shot, and worked relentlessly on his game. By his 3rd season, he was averaging 18.3 points per game and showing flashes of the star many believed he could be. But then, the Lakers made a franchise-altering decision. In the summer of 2019, the Lakers traded Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, and multiple first-round picks to the New Orleans Pelicans for Anthony Davis. At the time, many saw Ingram as just a throw-in piece. But in New Orleans, he became a star. In his first season with the Pelicans, Ingram took a massive leap, averaging 23.8 points per game, earning his first All-Star selection, and winning the NBA's Most Improved Player award. For the first time, he looked like a true franchise player. But the Pelicans never took the next step. Even as Ingram continued to improve, the fit with Zion Williamson was awkward. Both players needed the ball, and their styles didn't complement each other. New Orleans missed the playoffs 3 times in 4 years, and eventually, the front office decided to move on. That's when Toronto came calling. Toronto made a statement by trading for Ingram. They needed a go-to scorer, and he fills that role immediately. But this is also the biggest challenge of his career. For the first time, Ingram is the undisputed number one option. There's no Zion, no LeBron, no one else to share the spotlight. It's his team now. What does that mean? He has to elevate his game beyond scoring, becoming a playmaker and leader. He needs to embrace the defensive challenge, using his wingspan to disrupt opposing offenses. Most importantly, he needs to win. Toronto isn't rebuilding. They're trying to compete now. If he truly wants to be a superstar, this is his shot. This is where great players separate themselves. So far, Ingram has just one playoff series on his resume, a first-round loss to the Suns in 2022. To his credit, he was phenomenal, averaging 27 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. But one series isn't enough. The Raptors need him to carry them past the first round, to lead a deep playoff run, to prove he can be the best player on a contending team. Can he do it? Brandon Ingram's playoff resume is still incomplete. For all the talent he possesses, the reality is that he's only played in one full playoff series in his career. That came in 2022 when the New Orleans Pelicans, despite being heavy underdogs, pushed the top-seeded Phoenix Suns to 6 games. That series was the first true test of whether Ingram could elevate his game under the brightest lights. He didn't just show up, he thrived, averaging 27 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists per game while shooting 48% from the field. In multiple games, he looked like the best player on the floor, hitting tough jumpers, controlling the pace, and delivering in crunch time. But even with his spectacular individual play, the Pelicans lost in 6. And that has been the defining issue of Ingram's career so far, his ability to put up elite numbers without leading a winning team. Now in Toronto, the expectations have changed. The Raptors are not a team content with first-round exits. They won an NBA championship in 2019 and have built a culture centered around winning and defense. They aren't interested in moral victories or individual achievements. For Ingram, this means playoff success isn't optional. It's expected. If he wants to solidify himself as a franchise cornerstone, he has to 1. Carry the Raptors past the first round. Anything less would be seen as a failure for both him and the team. 2. Prove he can lead in the clutch. He has to be the guy the Raptors can depend on when the game is tight. 3. Step up defensively. Championship teams don't just rely on scoring. If Ingram wants to be taken seriously as a true number one option, he needs to impact both ends of the floor. Winning a championship is never easy, but Toronto has seen it happen before. Kawhi Leonard came in and delivered a title in one season. While no one is expecting Ingram to be Kawhi, he has the responsibility of carrying the Raptors forward. The question now is, can he take them from playoff hopefuls to real contenders? Brandon Ingram is at a pivotal moment in his career. At 27 years old, he's no longer just a young talent with potential. He's entering his prime years, and the choices he makes now will define his legacy. There are a few different ways his career can go from here. The best-case scenario is that Toronto becomes the perfect situation for him. With the Raptors building around him and Scottie Barnes, he could flourish as the clear-cut franchise player. If he fully commits to improving defensively, becoming a better playmaker, and leading in the clutch, there's no reason why he couldn't become a top 10 player in the NBA. If everything clicks, the Raptors could make deep playoff runs, and he could establish himself as one of the best players in the league. However, there's also a middle ground scenario, where Ingram continues being a great player but never truly elevates his team. He would still be an elite scorer, still make multiple All-Star appearances, and still be respected around the league. But if the Raptors don't take the next step, if they remain stuck in mediocrity, then Ingram's individual brilliance won't be enough to elevate him into superstardom. The worst-case scenario, Toronto realizes he's not their long-term answer, and he becomes a journeyman star, bouncing from team to team as a high-level second option. He would still be valuable, but he would never be the type of player franchises build around. He would fall into the category of players like DeMar DeRozan or Paul George. Great scorers, multiple-time All-Stars, but never the driving force behind a championship team. Right now, everything is in Ingram's hands. The next 2 to 3 seasons will define his career. If he wants to be remembered as one of the best Raptors ever, he has to lead deep playoff runs and prove he can be the guy who elevates a franchise. Which path will he take? Brandon Ingram's legacy is still being written. His skill set is elite, and he has already proven to be one of the most talented scoring forwards in the league. But talent alone doesn't define a legacy, winning does. Basketball history remembers champions and game changers. Players like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and Kevin Durant aren't just remembered for their individual greatness. They are remembered for delivering on the biggest stage. Ingram has the potential to be one of the most impactful Raptors in franchise history, but that will depend on what he accomplishes in Toronto. If he can lead them to deep playoff runs, become a true leader, and embrace the challenge of being a two-way superstar, his legacy could be immense. Toronto has already seen players rise to greatness. Kawhi Leonard came in and led them to a title in 1 year. Vince Carter put the Raptors on the map. Chris Bosh became an all-star before heading to Miami and winning rings. Pascal Siakam helped lead them back to contention after Kawhi left. Now, it's Brandon Ingram's turn. If he can take Toronto back to the Eastern Conference Finals or even lead them to an NBA Finals appearance, he will be remembered as one of the greats in franchise history. But if he never wins, if he fails to take the Raptors beyond the first round, he risks being remembered as just another talented scorer who never made the leap to true superstardom. The last thing we want to talk about and get your thoughts on is with regards to the Ingram-KD comparisons. Is Ingram the next KD? The Brandon Ingram-Kevin Durant comparison made sense when Ingram was a young prospect, but over time, it's become clear that they are different types of players. Durant's efficiency, mentality, and ability to dominate at the highest level make him a Hall of Fame talent. Ingram, while still improving, hasn't yet proven he can reach that level. That doesn't mean he can't be great in his own right. Ingram has the potential to be one of the top wings in the NBA. And now, with Toronto giving him full control of a franchise, he has a chance to define his own legacy. Rather than trying to be the next Kevin Durant, his challenge now is to become the best version of Brandon Ingram. The talent is there, the opportunity is there. The question is, can he rise to the occasion? Now in Toronto, he has everything he needs. The team, the role, the opportunity. Can he lead Toronto back to playoff success? Let us know in the comments. Do you think Ingram can still take that superstar leap? Or has he already hit his ceiling? And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the NBA's biggest stars.